entertaining. So we don't do it anymore. How have you been? How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been pretty good, pretty good. Just sort of trying to keep busy, and obviously we're doing the show last week, which took up a lot of time, and wonderful it was too. Very, very good. So I've been quite enjoying just catching up on some. What's the word? What's the word when you're doing house things?
Just admin, just general
Admin,
housework.
life admin. That's the expression, life admin. That's what I've been doing. How about yourself?
Yeah, I've got the tomorrow night. Is it tomorrow night? No, Friday night. I've got the London Gaming Networking Group have their annual thing, which I'm really looking for. Annual, like it's their 1 year anniversary, which I'm really looking forward to. And that's just it's a behind the scenesy thing. It's a sort of an industry thing rather than a sort of public facing thing. But it's where we met Naomi from Power Word Roll. It's where we met Grant Howard, who let us do the Goblins thing. It's where we've made a lot of really fun stuff happen for the show. So that'll be nice to hang out that. And I'm going to go and talk a little bit about how we recorded episode 100.
Fantastic.
While being safe, which is nice. Should we
Yes.
do some news? Who have we got on the chat?
I wish I'd just sort of got some beep 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 news because we have some Danger Club news. Now we've only got Stu has said hello.
Hey, Stu.
Hey Stu, I've already said hello in the chat. Hey, he said domesticity, which is
the one.
That's the one. That's what it was. Good old Stu Thethras Jackson.
Well,
Rob
Stu's
McGurk's here as
hi.
well. Hello.
Hey, Rob.
Do we have enough for your news, or do we?
I think we've got enough for some news.
All right, so we've got some exciting news coming to you hot off the presses
This
right
is the
now.
problem. Putting news at the front of the show is probably the people who are likely to tune in early to the stream are the ones who will already know these news items. But there are some interesting ones, and we're going to put the video out anyway, so it's worth
Hold on
having
a second.
it out
Not working properly on Twitch app. Rob Vergerg says. Is everyone else coming?
Oh,
Are we
dear.
coming through okay? I have no problems this end, but as we know, hilariously, that is no indication as to actually what's being streamed or whether or not it's coming through. Is everything all right? Steve as well. Hi, Steve, coming to us from Australia.
Hey, Steve! Steve's finally made it to the street. Like Steve has just been rapidly consuming Danger Club stuff from starting the podcast for the first time because I met Steve on the Paizo forums a while back.
Yeah,
and was starting on episode 1, and he's now well through the podcast and joined the Discord, and now he's here on the live stream as well. Welcome, Steve.
Absolutely, and Steve and I were battling through the Warlock of Firetop Mountain last night, and
You were doing Firetop Mountain.
I was doing Firetop Mountain.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was actually just me and Steve and my sister. And unfortunately, Steve was like, "Well, I might fall asleep because it's about 4 o'clock in the morning here." I was like, "Wow, Steve." Now that is dedication to adventuring. But we may, good day, mates. But we may well do a little extra bonus because I actually called it before the end of the quest because I was just me getting lost in a maze that I completely forgotten about was in the book. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to cut this early because, it's just me playing this book. But we might do a little special Steve and I going through the book and stream that. Apparently, the problem was with Rog Vergerg's. Apparently, the app through the phone is being a bit twitchy.
Right. Nice.
So he's on a laptop now. So and Stu has confirmed it's fine on browser. So
I find the Twitch app can be funny sometimes. I have trouble watching your streams on it occasionally.
I think it's just it's quite what's the word? Sort of bandwidth heavy. Watching Twitch streams and stuff like that, so maybe best off on the computer. But now, this is all sidetrackers enormously. We have a little bit of the usual crowd of wonderful, wonderful Dangerlings. What is the news?
Right. So this is how we're evolving this show. You like this? We're brainstorming names live, but we do have segments now. So we actually have a little news segment just because there's been a load of news this week. So the first thing I've got is the free RPG day. Adventures, the 2 adventures, Little Trouble in Big Absalom and Skitterhome, which is the Starfinder one. Both of those are now available from Paizo.com. So you can either get the PDFs as a free download, or you can buy the nice printed version for a $5. Obviously, postage may be restrictive on that if you're not in the US, but you can get them for free and you can play them, and you can. I think. I'm sure there will be Roll20 versions of them available. If not official ones, then ones that you can get people from. One of the Dangerlings, I think, was it Rovigo was converting Little Trouble for his Roll20 group.
Ooh, not sure.
Because that
Rockvigo would
sounds
be able
great.
to answer that for himself on the chat. Certainly, there's a lot. I think we brushed upon it last week we talked about modules and things that you used to get from free on the Wizard of the Coast websites and stuff. I mean, there's a huge mass of stuff. He's adding it onto Roll20, no less.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Nice. I like this sort of thing of people DIYing, making adventures for Roll20, because obviously you can buy the ones, but there's this whole thing that's like, it's almost like tape trading, back in the 90s, or it's people who have just made Roll20 modules for all these adventures who swap them around and stuff. It's a lovely little thing. But that took a while to come out because it was free RPG Day. There's when they go to the stores first, then Paizo can't do anything with them for 30 days, and then they go up on Paizo.com, which is why Paizo very kindly gave some love to our adventure today on their social. If you've been looking on their social media, you'd have seen them shouting out our Little Trouble in Big Absalom playthrough on there, which was very nice of them because we got in there so quickly. So yeah, they're fun. Go play them. They cost nothing, so they're dead easy to do.
Well, everyone loves free stuff.
Free stuff
It makes
good.
it
I'm
so
going to
much
go and get
more
Skitter
fun.
home in a bit. The next item I have, we should have like a little, shouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. If you told me you had news, I would have. I'd get something in, but I'll do that for next week.
You're gonna have like a soundboard next time. This is gonna be great. It'll be like FM radio. Another one which I think is very interesting if you're really into your Pathfinder, and that is that Paizo is hiring a new game designer this week. That was announced. Liz Liddell is off. She was one of the designers on Pathfinder's second edition. She's brilliant. She's written a lot of the books that we really like. And for some reason in my head, I think she's the first. I think she's the first woman to have her name on a hardcover as a developer at Paizo, which probably says more about Paizo taking a long while to get their things in order in terms of diversity over the years. But
I think they're all guilty of that, to be honest.
Yeah, oh my goodness, yeah, there was some old quotes of Gary Gygax that are being doing the rounds on Twitter at the moment, and they are not very flattering.
No.
But Liz is great, and she's written some really good stuff. She is off to become the editing manager of Magic: The Gathering. Something that you will be excited about, I'm sure, James, as a Magic fan, and she will be very well used there. I'm sure that's a great gain for them. It's a loss for Paizo, but it's a chance for them to find somebody new. So yes, they're actively advertising for a game designer for Pathfinder at the moment, and they're really encouraging anyone from minority backgrounds or from represented voices to apply for it. If you're interested, you need a couple of credits. Obviously, it's Pathfinder design, so you probably want a couple of indie credits. But it is, you can go to Paizo.com and you can submit your work samples, and you can apply it, and you could be a designer for Paizo. You need to move to Washington. That's the other one. But other than that, it's nice that that's there, and it's nice that they're seeking different voices so actively on that. I hope that it pulls more and more varied voices into development, because I think we can do with that, and I think the books are always better when that sort of thing. When there are a variety of voices involved in it.
Yes, exactly.
What else have we got?
I think that's tremendous, and hopefully it. Washington, Tyne and Weir, Stu says no. I wish. It shows a good direction that things are moving in. Also, just keeping up with the chat. Hello, Alakar. Hello, Nostrix. And hello, Steph. Nice to have you with us. And yes, Rogvergerg, the snipping tool is amazing. And if I used it just before the stream, in fact, but if anyone hasn't used the snipping tool and use a Windows computer, look it up on the search function. It's brilliant. You can just cut anything on the screen and it makes it into a really, really small image file. brilliant. Absolutely perfect if you're doing anything like that. So that was a little shout out for the snipping tool. Any more news
It's
there,
how I
Dan?
prep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the stimping tool's how I prep basically all of my adventures. I
Yeah.
cut things out of PDFs and put them in OneNotes, stat blocks and everything. That's I could not GM without that.
No.
Yeah, we had one more bit of general sort of Paizo news, and then some news about us that we should talk about. So we've had some more details come through about Fly Free or Die, which is the upcoming Starfinder Adventure Path, one that will be coming out later this year, which has been broadly touted as the Firefly Adventure Path. It's the one where you play a group of lovable rogues who are living just outside the law, flying your spaceship around and trying to evade crime bosses and corrupt officials and people like that who are trying to stop you. It sounds terrific fun. But there was, I wouldn't normally just talk about stuff that's coming up in Adventure Path, but there's a new mechanic being designed for it that they talked about at Gen Con, which I thought you would like, James.
Oh, yes.
For it. So as fans of stuff like Elite and Freelancer, and anyone who's played Eve or anything like that, this is an absolute dream. So it's got a whole mechanic on it where you basically can go to a world, load up on cargo, and then fly to another world and hopefully sell it at a profit. But maybe you get attacked by pirates on the way, and it's something you can kind of just build into the campaign. And it's all done, so it's done with build points rather than credits. They're keeping build points and credits separate, but it might give you like extra stuff that you can use to repair your ship. And they're also adding in, I think they're adding in some stuff for like deterioration of the ship. So like having to buy fuel and things like that. So you've really got this sense like Firefly of like having to keep doing missions and having to keep like finding these jobs to just keep flying, to keep the ship going.
Right. No, that sounds really cool. And also, there could be a nice mechanic in the fact that it's sometimes a little bit unrealistic. That's like, oh, go and do this small job and I will pay you 100,000 credits, and you're like, well, okay, I get it. You've got to pay us something so we can upgrade. But if actually a lot of your money comes from buying and selling the cargo, and that's what you use to then upgrade your characters and your ship, that's really cool. That's a nice sort of reaction. Very good. Apparently, the Deck of Worlds sounds like it would be useful for that, says Nostrix.
Yeah.
Do you know what the Deck of Worlds is?
Deck of Many Worlds. Deck of Many Worlds is great. So the Deck of Many Worlds is a deck of cards that have different characteristics of planets on it. So you can basically flip cards over and use it to really quickly generate a planet. So if your players tell you they want to go off map and go somewhere, you can be like, yes, you've arrived on Blagon 4. It is an ice planet, and it has a culture of creatures who
eat ice,
7 legs, or I don't actually know what's all the. Yeah, but it basically will tell you, like, you can just flip a few cards over and it will give you like the biome, a little bit about the culture there, and a couple of story hooks of things that might be going on there, and you can use it to just really quickly generate worlds.
That's really cool.
Which I think is really nice, and it goes with the Galaxy Exploration Manual, which is coming out later, which will have loads of rules for like basically making homebrew Starfinder campaigns where you can just build your own galaxies from scratch.
Fantastic.
And all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I'm just you know how much I loved Freelancer as a game. And still, like, occasionally we'll still reinstall it and play it. And that thing of like picking up some weird crystals on one side of the map and then spending a bit of time like plotting your route across space of how you're going to get to the place where you can get the best return on them without running into like the space police or pirates or I really love that. That's just really exciting to me. It's the sci-fi version of being in the tavern and like sitting around the map planning out the adventure. I'm very excited for Fly Free or Die.
Tremendous, absolutely. And just to cut in, we're having a lot of love for the Deck of Worlds. It was such an innovative product, Steve says, yeah. And Alakar's very pleased because his dreams of an entire campaign based around negotiating trade regulations can come to fruition. Splendid. And Steph's very excited about a Firefly sort of campaign. I think that would be a really, really popular one. I mean, Firefly has a great underground sort of cult following. Also, just to reassure any of our viewers, your internet's a little bit choppy, Dan, but don't adjust your
Is
settings.
it?
That's
Oh.
just it's sort of intermittent, but it's fine. We can still understand what you're saying, but it's not you, it's us. Yeah, I think that sounds
Apologies.
absolutely
I'm
brilliant.
switching off all my other devices to see if it will help.
And apparently,
I have a feeling my wife's laptop might be backing up or something.
Stu has a fantastic fact about the original
Hmm.
Washington in Tyne and Wear, where George Washington's dad was born and raised. And that's why Washington was named after it, because he used to live there. So there you go. Oh, did you hear that, Dan? No,
Very
good.
interesting.
Splendid,
There we go.
splendid. And
I did hear that. Tyne and Wear fact.
yeah, Tyne and Wear. Yeah, Tyne and Wear. So that's tremendous. Getting a lot of love for the 100 logo as well.
The last thing. Apologies for the lag on this, but we'll work through it. The last thing I wanted to talk about is about the podcast, which is that we're back in Danger Towers.
Way.
That's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It is.
I wondered if we wanted to chat about how we did it. I was hoping we could get Colin on, but he's on holiday this week, so he's not around.
Yes,
he's doing a play. He's not in town, basically.
He's not in town, no. But yeah, we actually, not technically the old Danger Towers. We have moved house again, just somewhere we could be very, very sensible. You might have seen our live stream. Actually, most of you possibly watched our live stream, or not live stream, live Facebook Live. And we were very sensible, very serious, and we take it because obviously, what's going on in the world is very serious. So we were very careful to not endanger anyone else and look after ourselves and our loved ones and anyone we might meet. But I think it was a great success. What would you say?
It was really successful. I thought I was really impressed with how it went. So Colin came up with a sort of really a list of basically how we would do it, because we're not going to do this unless it's safe, because we've got families to think of, and because it's irresponsible, to do something unsafe for the sake of a podcast. But we really, really wanted to get back in the studio and start recording together. So we had the whole thing set up. So we were all spread out around the room. We had our own workstation. All of our stuff was sanitized before we did it. We arrived separately, so we weren't all crammed in the corridor. Had masks on for most of it until we were sort of talking directly into our own mics.
Yes.
And not facing each other.
And even then we had pop shields, so it's not...
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing is, once you're actually recording, you're talking directly into the mic and with better mic technique than I have at the moment, because I have my mic up. So I realized my mic technique had gone to hell from 6 months of live streaming.
Yes, Colin
when
had
I'm
a
live
few
streaming,
choices.
I just have the mic just hanging up here. And
yeah,
he was furious.
Colin
I deserved every bit of it.
Yeah, he wasn't
because
pleased
when we record live, we well, it's because when we record live, we need we talk directly into the mic, and we're really close to the mic because it makes the audio sound much richer. Because we do more with it, whereas it doesn't have to be quite so specific. You can just have the gain up a bit higher and have it hanging down, and it doesn't matter if you got some room noise. Yes, Colin was very patient with me with getting that right, but we did good. We got 3 episodes done. So episode 100, which was originally supposed to be a 4-parter, and you can definitely hear that in my voice on this Monday's episode that's just come out. The rising panic of how long it's taken to get anything done.
It is. Yes, and
but we decided, let's.
Well, I was just going to cut in there because there has been a lot of concern.
Go for it.
Sorry, because we're whopping on a bit of a lag, so apologies for sort of cutting over you there. But yes, indeed, the lamp was safe and sound. My lamp is actually this one here. That is the lamp that used to get such abuse. Actually, this very day, I readjusted it, made sure it stood up straight and was nice and proud. It's certainly much more relief not to have Dan Thompson around. And Colin has a very similar lamp, and he put it quite literally on the other side of a large room. So the lamp is alive and well, and it is safe, and planning a career as a freelance writer, actually. And yes, unfortunately, we're not quite at that level of Twitch yet. But once we get a few more followers and we get pushing on, you'll be able to cheer and subscribe and do all sorts of wonderful things like that. Now, sorry, Dan, there's going to be a bit of a delay here, but you continue.
One of our that'll be a Patreon tier, as you'll get to go around to James's and punch his lamp.
No, you won't.
That experience.
No, that will never happen.
Yeah, I was really pleased. So we got 3 episodes done. So we've had 2 come out so far. You got 4 more episodes of episode 100 left to come out, and it gets nuts. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it gets very exciting.
It does.
It takes quite a turn. So that will come out, and then after that we'll be into episode 101. We're just talking about how we record that now at the moment. Right now, live recording looks doable, but it all depends on how things go here. So if we end up having to do a remote record for some episodes going forward, then we're sorry, but they will be main episodes. They will be main show episodes. We're not going back to Lockdown Legends. We're sticking with the main story, and we will be live whenever we can be safely.
Yes, exactly, because safety first. That's basically our priority, as it is with many other sort of companies and podcasts and things like that. But hopefully, we are getting much better at remote recording. It's sort of everyone's getting much better on that side, and I think actually our technique was a little bit better actually when we were in the room again. But that was just me. Now
it makes a big difference. It really does.
Does.
We spark off each other much better, and it was weirdly emotional being back in the room. I don't know if you felt that, but just having not played a live game, any kind of role-playing game in the same room as other human beings for 6 months, to actually do that and to be in a room together and to play a game, even if we weren't recording, just to do that, it just felt incredible. It felt, it was genuinely emotional to do that.
It really was. And we're getting a lot of love for Lamp's budding writing career. Thank you, Steph. Yes, it's Lamps on the Edge. A Lamp in the Darkness is the first title coming out soon. It should be very good. But no, absolutely, we're going to do the best we can to keep the podcast that you know and love. And so now, I think this is all for news. Is it any more news?
Yep, that's the lot.
That's the lot. So lots of exciting things happening there, and it was very emotional getting back in the room again and recording, and it was special. So you got some good stuff coming your way, and. Yeah, I know. Steve said he went remote for 5 weeks. It's tough, but we'll do our best. Now, we were going to talk about something this week, Dan. What else were we going to talk about outside of news?
Well, we thought it would be nice to sort of, as well as having a bit of news, to have a talking point every week. And it just so happens that this week we got sent some review copies from Paizo for some upcoming bits and bobs, and I thought it'd be fun to talk about some of them. We got sent the new Agents of Edgewatch book 2, but I thought we haven't really talked about book 1 yet, so it's quite a lot to do on one book, and it's that's its own thing.
Yes,
Agents of Edgewatch. But what we have got is something brand new, which is the first part of the new Adventure Path Devastation arc, called Waking the Worldseed, and this is a Starfinder Adventure Path rather than a Pathfinder Adventure Path. I thought it's very similar. So many of the Dangerlings play Starfinder as well as Pathfinder. We play Starfinder.
Love Starfinder.
It's terrific. I love Starfinder is one of these things where I'm just like, why don't we have enough time to do a Starfinder show? And I know the answer to that is because we are human beings and there's only so much time in the day to do things, so we can't just do an entire extra podcast.
Yes.
You and I play Starfinder every single week.
We do.
With a few of the Dangerlings, and it's great fun. And I know lots of people are into it, and this is something kind of new. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about it.
It is, and much like many of the Dangerlings and yourself, my geekery is not sort of very specific. And I like all sorts of geekiness, but I'm a huge sci-fi fan. And in fact, actually, one of the earliest things I did was roleplay a sci-fi game at my school. Now, one of the things, of course, that Starfinder really, really do very well is crazy ass art. Now I'm going to flick over at the moment. So this is hot off the press, so I don't have much time to prepare this. So this is the cover. There we go. Hopefully, we're still coming through onto the chat. Now, very carefully, we are not going to show much of the book because there are spoilers in there, obviously, for players. So I don't even want to see much of the book. But check out that dude. I mean, if that's not imaginative, I don't know what is. It looks a tiny bit phallic.
They are.
Now I look at it.
So
It sort of looks. Well, he's got a sort of shiny. What's that shiny thing? Is he upside down? I don't know.
it's a necklace. It's
no, not that. It's sort of
the,
shiny bulbous sort of walking.
Oh, that's a
blob.
ball. That's like a mouse ball.
Ah.
That is.
A ball.
I tell you, we'll give the chat a couple of minutes to see if they know what that is.
No, Stu Jackson was straight in going ball. So yes,
Ball.
it is a ball. But tremendous though. All joking aside, it is a fantastic imagination going on in this sort of artwork.
Well, these guys are really central to the AP. You'll get to know a lot about them as you play through it. So we should give a bit of an outline of what Devastation Arc is. It's a 3-part adventure path. So Starfinder occasionally does this. So they have a lot of 6-part adventure paths like Pathfinder does, but they've trialed a few 3-part ones. They've got Against the Aeon Throne, which we have been playing through for most of lockdown. They've got Signal of Screams is another third 3-part one, and now we have this 3-part one, Devastation Arc. And I think the best way to sort of explain why this seems quite exciting is that why I wasn't excited about it to start with, and then I was as soon as I saw the cover, is how arc is spelt, because I thought it was spelt with a C, and I was like, oh, it's a story arc about devastation. No, it's arc as in at some point a
Ark of the Covenant, or Ark ship, which is a very common sci-fi trope.
Yep. So it is effectively, this is like the broad synopsis. This is not spoiling it. It is a story about an ancient, vast superweapon being awoken from the depths of space accidentally and coming for the Packed Worlds, and about you stopping it, which is super exciting.
That is super exciting. Sorry to jump on your coattails here. I mean, Stu says it sounds like Optimus' ship. It does sound like Optimus' ship. To be honest, I think it sounds more Warhammer 40k. That sounds very much like something that's going to either the Imperium is firing at somebody or somebody's sending against the Imperium. The Devastation Arc. Fantastic. Really, really good.
So metal.
It's so metal. So metal.
So it's a high level adventure as well. This is something which they haven't done before. So this adventure starts at 13th level, and it will take you all the way through to level 20, and it will stick around at level 20. So you don't finish the game, level up to level 20 at the end. You get to play the last section of it as a level 20 character. So you get to play with those cool capstone abilities, which I think is quite fun. The idea is that it will follow on. It's a nice follow-on. You can just make new level 13 characters and jump straight into it if you want to, but it can be used as a follow-on to any of the other adventure paths, because all of the 6-part ones finish off at about level 12, 13. So if you've played through something like Dead Suns, then you can go straight into this, and you've got some like a high level adventure to take these characters that you've been with on, which really cool. That to me is quite fun, because there's not a lot of, that's one of the things that's been lacking from Starfinder is high level play or pre-written high level play, because there's not so much. You kind of do the adventure path up to level 12, and then it's sort of homebrew after that, or you just start something else. Some of the stuff in it that I like I say, we're not going to spoil anything in there. I'll give you the brief synopsis of this adventure. Is that your heroes are contacted by a luxury resort on an ice world. There's a snowy ice world which is being terraformed to be turned into sort of a luxury ski resort. But the terraforming machines have gone weird and have started creating terrible blizzards and storms. And they found some ancient alien ruins under the ground that they think may be involved in it. So the heroes are called to that planet to go and investigate and find out what is causing it, and hopefully not make things massively worse for the galaxy.
You've got to watch out for those alien remains, especially if they've been hidden under ice or something like that. It's always a bad thing.
Right?
I know.
Just leave them alone.
Yeah. Why
would you?
It's like, whoa, sensor's
Why
going
would
off the
you do
chart on these
that?
guys. Let's just put the snow back on there. There we go. The thing, exactly. I mean, that's kind of what I was referencing, Stu's straight in there. And just Steve, yeah, Hulk ships were the unknown Hulks that came out of warp space that was sort of a fusion of lots of
Mm.
ships that would tend to be full of gene stealers and horrible things like that. Yeah, I mean, actually, there's a whole fleet games and things you can play now. I can't remember the name of them, but like where I mean, basically, the Imperium are flying things like look like flying cathedrals and all that kind of stuff. But return to the story. So that sounds like a brilliant, classic sci-fi beginning to any sort of investigate the weird stuff going on and
Yeah,
let's see what goes on. So that sounds
and then
really
it
cool.
will get a lot bigger. Some of the I wouldn't say this is necessarily like a full-on review because we haven't played it,
No,
but
no, and
I
we
wanted
are
to
spoiler conscious as well.
exactly. Some of the stuff in it that I think people will like, some of the stuff in it that I certainly like as a GM, having read the initial part, is during the setup, you're given plot links for all of the currently published adventure paths. So if your group have finished Dead Suns or they've finished Legacy of Fire or Signal Screams, um, it will it just gives you like a paragraph of text of how you get your adventuring party from there, how you get your crew from there to this adventure, which
Oh,
I think is
nice.
really nice. It just changes the intro so you can weave it all into sort of one story.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool. So you end up on, Aldar, and you're like,
mm,
from there they do this and this and this, or this happens, and that's
yeah,
cool.
it's and it links quite. It does link to a few different adventures. So it links to if you've played Dead Suns, you will find some stuff in here that you don't need to have played Dead Suns, but if you have, you will find some stuff that might link to it. But likewise, having looked through them, they could be played separately. Like you could play this with a different party and then go back and play Dead Suns later, and it won't spoil anything for you in here. But it means there'll be some moments in Dead Suns when you'll just be like, "Oh my god, that means that," which I really like. So I really like that tying it all together because I think, especially with the three book adventure paths, it's really important to be able to play multiple of them. That's the point, is that you can sort of link them all together. Like we're wrapping up against the Aeon Throne at the moment, and I'm already starting to work out how we then move into Signal of Screams after
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Steph says continuity, and that you're absolutely right. You want that kind of synergy between your stories, which I think is really, really cool. They've got that because quite a lot of other systems and stuff don't do that necessarily. It kind of leaves it a bit more like, "Meh." It all kind of happens around Waterdeep or whatever, and you're like, okay, cool.
Mm.
This is quite nice. You can actually get a full, something like a space opera almost.
Exactly, you need to do. And across I've had a read of like what's going to be in the other books on this,
Yeah.
and some of the stuff that's being promised in it. The other books aren't out yet, but we're being promised things like loads of in-depth stuff about Absalom Station. You might get to fight a park at one point, which is going to be fun.
Fighter
Um,
Park.
yep, you're going to get to fight a park
Cool.
because there is a park on Absalom Station, and that park is out for blood at some point. I've
Cool.
no idea how they're going to do that. It just sounds really fun. And it sounds like there'll be some armada combat at some point later in it. There's one starship
Sweet.
combat in this adventure. There's not loads of it, but but yeah, apparently later on in the adventure there is going to be some armada combat. It won't use the same rules as just came out of Gen Con in the Starship Operations Manual, because this was written before that was because of publishing times. But there are some rules in that, so if you want to do some fleet commanding, that will be a part of this adventure as well, which I think will be really fun. Did anyone guess the name of the weird alien guy on the front? I think only Nostrix would know this.
Who
He
is the
knows
weird alien guy
so
on the
much
front?
about Starfinder.
I mean, Stu knew
So,
that it was a ball, but will you know the name? Just while the Dangerlings are chewing on that, there's some suggestions about how a park could fight you. Triffids, gazebo. Steve asks, are you looking forward to Signal of Screams based on your prep so far? It's the only AP that didn't grab him.
I'll be honest, it didn't grab me just on the basis of it, because it's, space horror isn't a genre that I normally gravitate to. When presented with different things you can do in space, I loved Aeon Throne straight away from the premise
That's
because it's
great.
the plucky heroes going up against the evil empire trope. I love the sound of that, and that's the sort of thing that tends to grab me about space games. So whereas I've played Dead Space and I like Alien, but they're not my go-tos.
But you
I liked
like
it.
Alien.
I do like it. I
Just,
love Alien,
just like
but
there we go. That's better. That's better. I'm only saying
right.
it's one of the greatest sci-fi horror films ever made. But then...
It's very good, but it's not naturally what I've been doing. But then it sort of helps that it follows on from, because we've played Aeon Throne, and we're looking for something that you can jump straight into at about level 6, level 6, 7, whatever it is, which you can do with Signal of Screams. And I'm interested. I'm interested in doing something very different, something really different to what we do on the podcast, and really different to what we've played before. And I think everyone would quite get into it now that people are sort of getting into their characters. I think we could actually have quite a lot of fun with that. I'm actually thinking I might get a paid Roll20 account for it so we can use dynamic lighting, because I feel like having like dark corridors and things is going to be quite good for something like that.
Oh, definitely, definitely. We want to ramp up the atmosphere, certainly. And actually, Roll20, there are lots of things that it does do a lot, which makes it quite intimidating. And it's not the most user-friendly piece of software ever, but there is an awful lot you can do with it, which is pretty cool. Some interesting questions sort of coming up from that.
Yeah.
Also, Stu, I mean, Event Horizon, the first half of the film, terrifying. Second half, lame. Unfortunately. Hello, Ross. Ross has joined us.
Hey, Ross. How you
Will
doing,
there
man?
be a DCP spin-off podcast with Starfinder? Well,
People always ask.
yeah. It'd be quite interesting. We certainly want to make something a little bit different. So we don't
Yeah.
want to just release a carbon copy of what we're doing. And fantasy is, that's what we've been doing so far. I'd be happy to do Starfinder or something of its ilk. But I don't think we've really we've banded these ideas around the development table, but nothing's set.
Never say never.
Yeah.
I would say is the answer to that one. At the moment, making the Pathfinder show takes all of the time that we have available. There are things that could happen in the future that might open up more time for other projects. Whether Starfinder would be one of those projects, who knows? We also have to talk to Paizo about that sort of thing.
It's true. And also, the Nostrix has said the nose-looking aliens are Bantrid.
There we are.
There we go. Yes, indeed. You are still the champion of Starfinder, Nostrix. Well done. Excellent work.
Yeah, you'll be really excited. If you like Bantrids, which are these little guys, you're gonna like this AP. You're gonna find out a lot about them. So Bantrids, they are. Bantrids are these weird guys. They have that thing on the bottom is like a ball, so they roll around basically.
Just put the Bantrids up here. There we go.
They just speed all over the place. I love this one's got a medallion.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. I'd wear that medallion.
So they come from a moon called Hib, which orbits one of the gas giants in the gas giant in the Pact Worlds, and it's this formerly desolate planet. Which a few years ago, some towers sprung up all over it, like mechanical towers, and the Bantrids came out of those towers, having been in stasis for millions of years, and they have no memory of what their lives were before they were put in stasis. They're just trying to work that out, and this adventure may explain some of that. So you'll get, if in this particular module, you'll get in the back matter, you'll get a load of information on Bantrids and a load of information about Hib that you can use even in your own adventures, and they're pretty fun. They're really nice.
Definitely.
So you'll get a bit about them.
And apparently there's an area on Absalom Station designed for gas giant native critters like Bantrid.
Yes.
No guessing who said that comment. Still got that crown.
There we go.
And
King of Starfinder.
Alikar thinks he could be the Flavor Flav of Bantrid. He could indeed. That's an old reference for you out there, but very good.
I'll be interested to hear if Nostrix is excited about this one, because you've always got your ear to the ground on Starfinder stuff.
Yeah.
Certainly know more about it than we do. There are a couple of bits. Are you able to to turn to different pages on
Yes,
our
I am. Yes, I am.
Because there are a couple of bits that we'll jump to that aren't spoiling. Because as you get
which page?
So in any adventure path book, you always get a section at the end, or in a Starfinder one, you'll get an alien archive at the end, which will give you a few of the aliens you need like as monsters for this adventure, and then it will give you a few extra ones that you can just use in your campaigns that don't come up in it, but you could throw them in as encounters or things like that that are really fun. So I would like you to show us page 50, it's page 59 of the PDF, page 57 page 57 of
57.
the book.
Okay. In order to preserve the secrecy of the rest of the document, I am going to do this. Would that be?
Yeah, hide it first.
Oh, page 57 of the
So
book.
it's numbered as 57, but I think if you're looking at the PDF, it might be 59.
Yes,
It depends on
indeed.
if it's registering the front cover.
Okay, so here we go. This is quite. Oops. Go. We go. There we are. There we go. Is it sort of this gangster car, the Death Cruiser?
Yeah,
Check
it's the
that
Death
out.
Cruiser.
That is the most metal car I think I've ever seen in my life. That is tremendous.
It's a challenge rating 14 car.
What is that? That is wicked.
So it's an evil. It's basically an evil. It's undead. It's an evil undead car. It's incorporeal. It will. It chases you down. If it runs you over, it does. Was it 68 plus 14 bludgeoning damage?
What?
Yeah, if it runs you over. But also, not only that, but you have to make a fortitude save. If you fail that, then it drives off with your soul and you die.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty awesome. We're getting Batmobile meets Judge Death, Knight Rider. I mean, it looks phenomenal. It's like sort of Hell's Christine, isn't it? I mean, it's just.
I know. It's just so cool. Yeah, I love it. It's also there's a bit in the text. It's in the flavor text, really, but it says that it is possible. Well, like when this thing comes for your soul, it's almost impossible to outrun it. It's incredibly quick. It's really, but there are stories of them being stopped by being challenged to races, and that if you can outrace one, it might disappear.
Wow.
And leave you be.
Just
And I
in
was like,
shame, hanging
yes.
its massive sort of skull bedecked bonnet in shame.
It's
Tremendous.
It's wonderful, and you get some demons and some daemons rather, and some different bits and bobs and some more undead and all sorts of things. And there's lots of fun stuff. The other thing which you probably like in it is we have a
Steve wonders what its fluffy dice are like. Who knows? Horrific. It'll be testicles, surely. So, like, it wouldn't be fluffy dice.
Because if your soul gets taken by it, your soul is technically in the car, and I mean that just screams out podcast spin-off if that ever happened in the show. Can you imagine just cutting back to scenes of just someone's soul stuck in this car with all of the other people who've been picked up by it driving
Turns
around?
out Elvis is in there, Socrates. It's like Bill and Ted's sort of bogus journey, only in a massive death car. Fantastic.
So the other thing that I'll shout out about this adventure, which I really like, is on the it's on the last page, other than the back cover, basically the inside back cover.
Okay,
so
the inside back cover.
So that'll be 67 on the PDF.
67. Would that be a ship?
Yeah. It's a map, yes. So
The
if you're
map,
somebody who one of the things you always get in these adventure paths as well is you'll get the stats for a ship, and then you'll get a map of the interior of that ship as well.
Look at that.
And it's normally a ship that you actually fight in it, but in this one it's not. In this one it's a luxury liner for the corporation that runs the ski resort, basically, that you go to save at the start of it. So it's got a bit of information about New Horizon, which is the company running this, and yeah, it's got the Borealis, which is a luxury cruise liner. And it gives you a full map of it. So if you have ever wanted to have an adventure set on a cruise liner, like run a murder mystery or run some kind of a boarding action or anything like that, you now have a map that lets you do that and tells you a bit about it, and has you can fight in the disco and in the swimming pool and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, Steph makes the excellent point. It's so colourful. It is so colourful. And I was drawn immediately to the 211 rooms, which are holographic amusement centres / discos / I don't know, a Borealis in a room. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Love it.
It's just, that's a really fun thing to do. And if they do a Roll20 version of this, then most likely you will get that map as part of it. I mean, you can, if you're somebody with the skills to do it, you can easily just copy and paste that into Roll20 and make it. But that's just a really nice resource to have. Like, that's something I would love as a GM if I ever need to make a sort of a one-shot little mini game or something like that, to have a game that just takes place entirely on a luxury cruise liner. I mean, how many Doctor Who episodes in space end up being set on on luxury spacecraft?
So many.
There's-
Well, because you've just got a whole army of unwitting victims, then, haven't you? Because it's like, oh, I'm
Mm.
just having a holiday on to Mars, and you're like, yes, and the thing that lives in the pipes. It's amazing.
I think that's really fun. Also, the second adventure path that starts in a luxury holiday resort, because Signal of Screams does as well. So they like their tourism in Starfinder.
Well, look, the universe is a beautiful place.
It
So,
is. So that is Waking the Worldseed.
amazing, amazing.
It is by Jenny Jarzabski, who I don't know. She must. I think that's a new writer for Paizo, a new freelancer, or possibly. I don't know a lot of the Starfinder writers though, so it's possible that they've written other ones. But yeah, I think this seems really fun. I think this is going to be worth checking out. And if any of you end up playing it, I would really love to hear about how it's gone.
Yeah,
because I'm always interested about how new adventure paths come together.
absolutely. I mean, there is that. But I mean, I don't know. It depends on whether you want. If you're that keen to play it, if you just gen up some level 13 characters. But I think really, because we were talking about this the other day, because we're more in the context of Starfinder Society, and obviously you can jump in at these levels, sort of 13 adventures. But really, you want to sort of brought that character up to that level, because one, you'd know exactly what they were doing and fully capable of, and two, that it's just a bit more fun, I think. I don't know. What would you think? Would Dangerlings want to just jump straight into stuff? Apparently, Steve says she's done lots of SFS stuff, Society stuff. Yeah, a lot of things. And Alakov's, I guess they're already an AP that starts on a cruise liner. That screams at, what was it? Scream in the void, screams and the cool dogs. What?
Signal of Screams.
Signal of Screams.
There are, which I quite like I quite like the adventure plot, like the adventure hook on this, where it's like, why don't you go to a new holiday resort? Because it's got a linking one for Signal of Screams, and you get contacted by somebody and be like, oh, after the great work you did on that last resort, will you come and help this resort? It's like, can you imagine any character having been through that, just being like, no, I'm never going on holiday again?
No, holidays are awful things. Yeah, any adventure path with screams in the title, it's going to be a bit harrowing, isn't it? So
exactly.
But that looks tremendous. And how does one go about getting this?
That is so. It's not out yet. It will be out. I think the end of the month.
Okay.
I think it's or it'll sort of start next month. I think that's. I think it's the September release.
Right.
For Paizo. So keep an eye on Paizo.com and have a look for it. If you've got a subscription, it will probably get mailed out. Probably be on its way out fairly soon. And yeah, let us know how it goes. Let us know if you enjoy that.
Definitely. And is it? Do you get the hard copy book, or do they send out PDFs, or is there a choice of one or two, or what?
You can get either. So you can buy a hard copy version of it, which will be a sort of slimline volume that you can get through, and they're very nice. I've got a few of those for Pathfinder. I don't think I have any Starfinder ones. Aeon Throne I bought all on PDF.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can just get the PDF and have it immediately. As usual, if you've got a subscription to the Adventure Path line, then it will just automatically be mailed out to you. And I think you get the PDF and you get a bit of a discount, something like that. It's the subscription thing is really nice, but it's just not viable if you're not in the US, because the postage costs are crazy.
Yes,
So
Steve's saying, yeah, they're running subs now. You get both, and you get a free PDF with the books, but obviously, yeah, it's an American company, so Steph will be all right, and quite a few other Dangerlings will be fine, but it's something we've had to be careful of, haven't you? You've had to be careful, Dan, of being like, yes, I will take your book. I'm like, great, we're posting it now. That will be £45. You're like, oh.
I've done it a few times where I have occasionally ordered stuff direct from Paizo, like if I've definitely wanted it at a certain time, because if you try and do it through Amazon or something like that, you never get it on a good timing if you're in the UK. Paizo is the best way to do it.
Do you have that gorgeous book that you bought to hand? The one you spent extra money on getting, a leather gold written one?
I don't have it. It's in the other room. That's my deluxe edition of the core rule
edition.
book.
And do you know what you got?
And I have the bestiary as well, in the same bestiary 1 in the same style.
Yeah.
I sadly was too responsible to get bestiary 2 in leatherbound as well, but I am not ruling out getting the advanced player's guide and maybe the GM's guide in that, because it just looks so gorgeous. It's
do you know
so
what?
good.
It really was, and you did get them out, and it was like, I spent rather a lot more on these than I had to get this version. It's like, ooh, because you kind of, it's a childish thing, but whenever you have books from D&D or Starfinder or Pathfinder or whatever else like that, you kind of want like a leather bound. I always have that kind of dwarven Book of Grudges in my mind, or something like, proper big old the Book of Adventure. That'd be fantastic. Good heavens.
Yeah, and and I spend a significant portion of my life writing and playing Pathfinder Second Edition.
You do.
Because of the podcast, more than anything. And so I was like, I think, as for something I'm going to get use of, it is fine to spend a bit more. And actually, not to turn this into a love-in for the deluxe covers, but they're really well made. Like, they're it's really solid, and that thing goes in my bag whenever we record and have to go somewhere, and it's barely got a scratch on it. They're really durable. Whereas I think kind of like my old core rule book, which is up there, like that's a little bit dog-eared and stuff from going in bags, whereas the leather one is still good as new. It's got little tabs and things on it. It's
It is. Dan even let me touch it once. It was a very special moment. I think we both appreciated it, and we bonded a little more as friends.
Exactly. And you still won't let me near your lamp. Unbelievable.
No, I won't, because it's not bound in leather. But just a little update that was crazy stuff. Steve said that you can subscribe to the leatherette versions. Ooh. However, his largest postage, now bearing in mind that he's in Australia, was $400 postage charge for Paizo. I mean, that is dedication. That is something really, really special. As Ross trying to get me to run the second podcast, Foxy DM. I would love to DM sometime. It's reading the books and getting up there. But there we go.
I've got to get you playing Delta Green at some point, James. I feel like that could be your game. I think you might really like it. If it's like a sort of government conspiracy kind of a bit X-Filesy, but very low rule, like quite rules light. That's the thing I'm really into.
Trying to say I don't like reading long books.
You've become a real rules a rules nerd like me over the course of this. I
that's
love
the
it.
thing. I do really, and I try not to get too drawn in, because then I start getting a little bit too much, as I'm sure a lot of the Dangerlings can kind of sympathise with. We got Alakar as well. 5E have been releasing limited edition covers of their books for a while now, and they're all gorgeous. He dropped $200 on the books he already owns just for the pretty covers. You are not alone, Dan. You're not alone, because let's face it, we all love these games. We all love playing them, and especially I think if you're a DM or a GM, you get very attached to these systems. You know a lot about them, and to have that feeling of getting out the leather-bound gorgeousness that some people release, and of course the very fact that these companies release Paizo and stuff like that, these editions, shows that they're going to sell. There's a market for them. They wouldn't do it.
And I don't spend loads on dice. That's a lot of people, and I don't buy minis. That's sort of the advice for most people, is they'll drop hundreds and hundreds of dollars on dice and miniatures, and I don't do that, because we've never used a battle mat, and I've got Old Bad Moon, and why would I ever need another die?
Absolutely.
When I have that beauty?
We did, and I mean, we sort of shouted out to them quite a while ago, but Dwarven Forge and people like this, they can actually custom make minis for you and battle scenes. We've seen some of them; they are incredible, jaw-dropping kind of set pieces and things like that. But we've never really done that. It's never been. It's also the space. You campaign with it once, then it's on your shelf forever. And let's face it, if anyone's explored the world of miniatures, they are a pain to keep clean. You need a case and you need stuff.
I played Games Workshop extensively in my teenage years, and I ain't
Yes.
never gone back.
Nope, no, indeed. And as well, because my brother threw out all my miniatures as well. Because
Oh,
they
well,
meant nothing to him.
mine sold them and then gave me half the money.
Oh,
Shout out to the beard guys. There you go.
yeah, the
I've
video
got a good
guys.
brother on that.
There
I
we
mean,
go.
he didn't give me accounts, so I've no idea. He may have stiffed me on it. I would say
Possibly,
it's
possibly.
unlikely.
It is unlikely. And also, the trouble is, a lot of them were either unusable because they changed them so much.
Yeah.
The plastic ones would be all right, but the lead ones were pretty much useless because you can't have lead miniatures anymore. They are not.
Oh, we
a
went
thing.
on. I remember that was a great day. We went in on the very last day that they were allowed to sell lead models, and they had to have them out of the store by the end of the day. Basically, they were just getting it melted down, and so they've just been told make as many sales as possible because Games Workshop is super salesy. I've got a mate who used to manage a store there, and it's like super sales targets all over the place. That's why they're so aggressive.
Yes.
But they were just like, we will sell you something. And me and my brother went in there as kids when they were selling off all this stuff, and I bought a box of things. And just before closing, my brother wasn't gonna do anything. I don't think he even played Warhammer 40k at the time. And the guy was like, "What do you like the look of?" And my brother's like, "I don't know, the aliens." And this guy just opened a box, put his arm on the shelf, and just swept all of the Tyranid shelf into a box, closed
Oh
it, and
my
was just
God.
like 40 quid.
Wow.
And he just got that. And we were like, we never opened, there were packs of Tyranid warriors that we never finished painting. Like, we just find them in drawers around the house years later, having
It's
never sorted them out.
And to be honest, because we used to have something else that my brother, who doesn't really care for gaming, and when you move out and you leave things at home, you think they'll be all right, but no. Turns out he burnt our first edition Space Hulk and all the expansion packs that I bought for my brother. It was my brother's originally, but sort of passed to me. And but I did from that discover I love the Gene Stealers. They're so cool, and the Tyranids are obviously the extension of that. Some of those miniatures were insane. The guys with the big bladey arms and all sorts of weird stuff going on. Fantastic, really, really imaginative. I liked, and great colours as well. You could use.
I have so much good to say about the original Space Hulk game as a piece of design. Weirdly, I don't think I ever actually played. Maybe I played Space Hulk a couple of times when it was re-released, but I didn't play it too much. But just as two iconic pieces of design, the Space Marine Terminator
Yeah.
and the original Gene Stealer, with that kind of bent over with the forearms, it's just that's such great character design.
Yeah.
Those models are amazing.
They were fantastic. They really were. And the game that was infinitely frustrating as the Gene Stealers until their guns started jamming, and then you were in. As soon as you managed to get them, they're close. And I do recommend the computer games. Actually, they're actually really, really good fun. We just a quick reference to the chat that's been going on. Lots of people have been speaking about their sinks. Stu likes to spend it on Star Trek ship models. Fair enough. It's a huge market, yeah. And Ross is Kickstarter. Yes, we know
Oh
that.
God,
Ross,
yeah.
We almost had to stage an intervention with Ross and Kickstarter. It got to level. Alakar was asking which one's recommendation. Ross has given them. And just a quick note to Steve. You veered away from Magic the Gathering, knew it'd be a money sink. The free online version, the Magic the Gathering Arena, you actually don't have to spend very much money at all. I think I bought a £5 initial pack, and then the rest of it can be bought through in-game currency. So if you do fancy giving it a whirl, I'd recommend that route, because you can have a lot of fun, and it's got pretty animations and stuff like that. But actually, you don't need the full gaming set, because this won't come as any surprise. Steph's is Magic, but the actual physical Magic, which I've spoken to professional Magic players before. I think your partner's a professional Magic player as well, or used to be, and it is. Now that's a money sink right there. That just keeps on going, that rabbit hole, doesn't it? Getting masses of Ross's recommendations now as well. To be honest, actually, we are slightly over time. It is 7:05.
Oh, yeah.
But it's such a nice time, such a good chat. It's lovely, these Wednesday live streams. I really hope you're enjoying them. I'd like to see such a good chat going on the screen as well. This is all about you guys and the community, as well as just us prattling around. Let's face it, we could just speak to each other anytime we want. This is a fun way.
I mean, that's literally what we're going to do after this. So
Yes, we have a divinity game that's been cooking and things like this. Lots of lots of nice Kickstarter recommendations. Perhaps Dan, you could give it a watch again. Are you a Kickstarter man?
I've never backed a Kickstarter in my life, but then I have access to every Kickstarter which has ever appeared through Ross, so there's never really been a need to. But there have been some. Well, I suppose Carbon, I think, was a Kickstarter. That was one through there,
It
and
was.
the I can't remember if the Alien RPG was as well, but that's the one I'm really excited about. That I really want to play that at some point.
Yeah.
We should do a Wednesday stream about Carbon sometime. We'll get Ross on and we'll just talk about that, because that's a cracking setting.
We've had a lot of fun with it. And I know it'll resonate because it's basically Blade Runner. You know, but that's doing it injustice. I think we won't. Ooh, pardon me. We won't talk about it too much because obviously, you know, we'll talk about it in the podcast. I think it's a great shout. Also, we've got a recommendation that a few people are backing. Is Dark Matter, a space 5e RPG.
Okay.
And also that duffel bag, Steph, sounds awesome. That sounds tremendous. She got a tabletop gaming duffel bag, which was enormous and will fit so many games for once it's safe enough to have game nights again. But it also came with a large dice tray and a dice tower. What's a dice?
I'm more excited about that than about the bag.
Yeah, what's a dice tower?
Oh, a dice tower. So a dice tower is like a.
Is that when you put it in the top and there's a little slide and the dice
basically
go
you
down?
put the dice. It's a little tower. You put your dice in it, and it sort of clatters around and then comes out the bottom, and it's rolled.
Oh, nice.
Interesting. You get one of those with Wingspan, the board game, which is a game about bird watching, because these are games I like. Incredibly twee games, but it's about watching different rare birds. You get a little bird feeder with it. And
you love your twee games. If it's about making tea or bird watching or something super, super twee, then, you know, there we go. That Dan is in. So if any of you have an idea for a really, really twee, maybe about like, you know, passive aggressive picnics or something, then Dan will definitely back. That would be the first Kickstarter you would back, I'd say. He's even checking his computer now to see if such a thing exists.
I certainly want that. Barren Park. There's your game recommendation for the week. Barren Park. You can make a little park for bears, and you get little points if you have nice big enclosures where your bears can live, and you've got lots of koalas, and then maybe like a little food stand. It's like sort of Tetris meets theme park.
Look at his little happy face telling you about his bear park. It's wonderful to see you so excited about that. That's it. Yeah, and indeed, we won't talk about Magic anymore, but Nostrix paid for his wedding through Magic cards. This is what everyone says, especially those guys who got into it back in the early 90s. Like some of them cards, wow, they are worth an awful lot. I believe I looked up the other day, the most expensive one is the Black Lotus, and one sold on eBay for about $167,000. There were only 3,000 made. So yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Crazy. But let's face it, we love what we love. We are geeks to the core, and that is exactly why we're here and so passionate. It's wonderful to see everyone chatting so much. Tremendous. Does the park attack you? I doubt it very much if it's a Dan Thompson game.
No, but the one in Devastation Arc most definitely will. There we go. Brought it back around.
Boom! Look at that for a link. That is fantastic. We are cyclical. It's all come and gone the same way. But well, I think upon that bombshell of a link, we should maybe wrap this up for our Wednesday live stream. It's been tremendous having you here. Any last thoughts, Dan?
No, these are fun games. If you're playing Agents of Edgewatch, please tell us about it, because you're having fun. Because it's new and we haven't really had a chance to have much of a look at it. If you're going to play this game, give us a shout on that as well. We want to know about your campaigns. We want to know about how you're doing. Get on the Discord and tell us about your adventures. Because we're about to finish Aeon Throne and we're looking for new things to play off air.
Actually, yes, that could be very useful if there are another 5 different paths that we could take. I think you said there were 6, Dan, after this Aeon Throne, or there were 6 that were there. You know, maybe
there's a whole bunch of different ones that we could do. Depending on the characters, so it's always interesting. I think we're going to go Signal of Screams, but you know,
we are going to go for the one that Nostrix didn't like. Or was it Alucard?
Nostrix doesn't like Signal of Screams.
No, I think because somebody said, maybe it was Alucard. I can't remember. It was quite a long time ago in the chat.
It might have been Greg, or it was
Dawn of Flame. Steve says.
Dawn of Flame's a weird one. Dawn of Flame's the one that I reckon it could be really good. Dawn of Flame massively skirts under the radar because it's the most fantasy of all of them. It's the one where you go to the sun.
Awesome sci-fi adventure path.
Okay.
Me. That's what he said. Nostrix does like signal screams. I apologise, King Nostrix, of course. He keeps hoping they'll release it on Roll20. Well, Rockvergerg is actually converting one of the old ones, so it is doable if you're particularly passionate about it. I know one of the most love we've had so far is for the snipping tool, but it is invaluable if you're converting any sort of game sort of things. And Ross has a last thought. He's been having a last thought for some time. I suspect it's a bit, or it'll be something to do with bottoms. It's Dan Smells. Oh, no. Good, Dan.
Hey!
And the thing is, that is a thought that we've all had at times. It's true. And I think we'll end on a touching story from Steph that's happened in the chat, that she once went to a zoo with her niece, and when they went past the bear enclosure, there was a black bear in the process of having a good time with himself. We made sure to steer the niece away from that enclosure. I loved it. I absolutely love that story. That's tremendous.
What an ending!
Well, I think upon that, I don't think we're going to top that. So for the Dangerous Wednesdays live stream, that is all we've got time for. So it's goodbye from me, Foxy Lockhart, and it's goodbye from.
It's goodbye from me, the Dungeon Master.
Dungeon Master. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Good night, folks.
Good night, everyone. See you later.